Hello, everyone. This is the Guru of Inspiration, Michelle Hammond, and I am listening to the Luncheon with Lisa show. Come on in and join me, y'all.
You are now listening to Lunching with Lisa show.
Well, all right. Hey, this is Prince Dejour, and you're listening to the Lunching with Lisa show. You gotta love it.
Hello. Y'all haven't seen us in a long minute since last year. So let me say this. Happy New Year to everybody who's always tuning into the Luncheon with Lisa show. We are back. And we're actually coming in on Love Month. So, I know this is Black History Month and we're going to do a little Black History moment, but we've kind of deemed this the Love Month, and we're going to talk about different areas of love all month long. So I'm excited to be back. I feel like that we've been gone forever. I feel like we've been gone for a year or so, but it's only been a couple of months. We needed the break. Y'all know how I love my holidays. And we actually are refreshed. I want to say a special thank you to Michelle and Charlene and Prince Dejour for the wonderful intro, the bites that they did in my intro. I was so surprised, and that was just really cool. So thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all just the bomb. And Shariva, I'm gonna get you back. You tricked me. I first wanted to say happy birthday to all the birthdays we missed in December and January. Sorry that we weren't able to say happy birthday to you then, but happy birthday to you. We also want to say happy anniversary to those who are celebrating love. This is Love Month, so we're going to maybe get you some ideas for Valentine's Day, one of these shows in February. But I wanted to also do a shout out to all of the people who are celebrating anything, whether they started classes, they started a new business, whatever it is. It could be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you are just celebrating. So I just wanted to put that out there to everybody, and we have definitely missed you, but you won't be disappointed because we are bringing the self-love queens to the show today, because I feel like that to start the year off, why wouldn't the first thing you do be to take care of you? So tonight we're going to talk about self-love, and that goes for, and Michelle, this is mind, body, and soul. She knows what I'm talking about. We're actually going to touch on all of that. We're going to, we got a few surprises for you, and Shariva's probably going to help me. Hi, Cheryl. Welcome back. Welcome to everybody who's tuning in. Shariva's going to have to remind me of some things I might have missed, but I do want to share with everybody, if you don't recall, we actually have a TikTok page now. So I need you all to go over to TikTok and make sure that you are actually following our TikTok Luncheon with Lisa page. We have been posting some things there, but we want to see y'all over in the TikTok. We're trying to catch up with everybody else, because think about this. We're actually going to talk about computer love the last week of February, because we want to get into social media and how we're showing love on this computer screen and the bullying and that kind of stuff. There's a lot of hate going on out there, and we're trying to get back to the love of it. And sometimes that computer love can get really funny. So we're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about romantic love. We're going to talk about loving thy neighbor. We're going to talk about self-love tonight, though. So I wanted to bring my guests in and introduce you to them. You all have met them before, so I want to introduce these beautiful faces back to you. We have Delana Watkins here, we have Tawana Lowe, and we have Michelle Bolden Hammond. And they all were specifically chosen for this show because they actually have a real hand in the self-love category. And once we start talking, you'll see what I'm talking about. And I really wanted to hit you all with a 1, 2, 3, 4 punch, because we're going to talk about the body. We're going to talk about the mind. We're going to talk about all of that to help you get started. So when we talk about these other areas of love this month, you'll be in a good place, because we're talking about self-love first. And of course, we will be having our TikTok moment. which will definitely connect with what we're going to talk about tonight. So without further ado, I wanted to welcome you all to Luncheon with Lisa. You are the first guest of 2023 on the Luncheon with Lisa show.
Yeah.
So I wanted to first, and I really want to start with, and Delana, I'm not going to start with you first because most of the time people think, yeah, we're going to go to the gym, going to do all of that. So they think that's what we're going to hit them with. No, we're going to reel you in a minute. But I wanted to actually start, Tawan, with you because you actually have you've had some publications that deal directly with self-love. And to me, affirmations and the things that you talk about in your book are really, you got to get your mind straight. You got to talk to yourself right. So let's talk about the importance of self-love and why you felt it was important to tap into self-love with your publications in your book.
Okay, thank you. And the book is Everybody Needs a Little TLC. So we know TLC can mean tender loving care, but for this is transformational lifestyle content. And one of the reasons that I chose self-love and self-care is because we're taught a lot of things, but one thing we're never really taught is how to love ourselves. Mm-hmm. We're taught to love other people. Mm-hmm. We're taught to be kind to other people, but we're never taught the importance of self-love and what it does for us and why we need to have self-love, because self-love plays an integral role in how we show up in our becoming and what we achieve. People never connect those dots, but if you really don't love yourself and believe in yourself, then you can't achieve the success that you desire for yourself. So that is one of the reasons that I chose to make one of our series around self-love and self-care, so we could kind of get people to start thinking about what it means to take care of themselves, mm-hmm. how self-care is about feeding your mind, body, and spirit, mm-hmm. So that you can handle life journey, because life will life you. And you don't love yourself, and if you don't have the self-love that's needed, because self-love also gives you permission to practice self-care. See, there's a connection between the two. So that is why I thought it was important to have a book, to use affirmations to talk about it. And I love it because we have maybe about 15 different authors speaking from different perspectives from all age ranges, talking about what self-love and self-care looks like. So what Tawan might say about self-love might not resonate, but what Delana said about self-love and self-care might resonate with you. But you always have to feed your mind. You know, they say what you put in your mind, the things that you hear in your ear gates, it makes a difference. And, you know, we're just in this time where everybody wants to become. Mm-hmm. A part of becoming is loving who you are. And that's and I don't think you can even get to Delana's part or Michelle's part when you don't care and when you don't love you. And most people don't even know they don't love themselves.
Well, that's the real. So I mean, we think that we love ourselves, but then our actions kind of tell a different story. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times I think I might have been in a good place many times where something came up that kind of jilted me a little bit, and then I realized, oh, okay, I still got some work to do. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a work in progress all the time. We have to go back to the drawing board and tweak things often. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes people think, okay, I did it, it's done, I'm good. No, tomorrow is going to be another day that you need to kind of check yourself and get yourself, like it comes in small things like procrastination, little things that you do that you think have nothing to do with self-love and self-care, but it does. And that's why I thought that you all would actually touch on all of those points, because you're going to remind somebody of something that they hadn't thought of, because they think they got it all together. And I'm here to tell you, I don't have it all together, and nobody does all the time. You have good times, and then you have places where you need to do something else. So that's a perfect lead in, because you said mind, body, and spirit. And for you all that don't know, Michelle has a show called Mind, Body, and Soul podcast. So it leads right into what Michelle's doing now. Michelle, you've actually, and I have seen, and I can't remember what you call it, but what do you call it when you do the
sound heal and sound therapy, sound bath?
Absolutely. I was tempted to say, Michelle, get one of them bowls and bring it on here. But and I do know that a lot of people are getting into that because they're tapping into, you know, their inner self. So tell us a little bit about, and then I will say that we're going to be sharing a song because Michelle is a musical artist. She's a singer, and she actually has done a song called Self-Care. So we're going to play that during the show. But Michelle, tell us a little bit about that area for you, because I know you do a lot in that lane.
Yes. Oh, again, thank you, Lisa, for having me on. I just feel it's like you said, the mind, the body, and the soul. If one of those things is out of line, everything is going to be out of line. Yes. And for me, with the sound bath healing, it's about getting in tune with yourself. And let me put this disclaimer out there. There is nothing wrong with loving yourself. Absolutely. And self-care is not selfish. I have to repeat that. Self-care is not selfish. And it's not also about you putting yourself as a project, but it's actually making a healing within yourself. For when you're using the sound healing, it's the frequencies, it's natural sound. And your rhythms of your heart, it slows down your breathing. It can make so much things happen. If you have some anxiety, then just make you get in tune with yourself and just go in that moment. And actually, it's a replica of you finding more that you might not have. There's a lot of secrets in the quiet place. And when you really think about that, it's a lot of secrets in that quiet place.
Hidden treasures that you talk about.
Yes, the hidden treasures. And like for me, I use it in my job. I use it for business. And now I've added on a tongue drum, which is another frequency of sound and meditation and things like those. You get clarity. And now in this day and time, you need to get clarity within yourself, because there's self-doubt that can come in. I think I need to go and meditate, listen to some meditation music, get into that line of figuring out that clarity. And I just love it. I just love it. I love seeing people getting healed. I just love it.
that in itself is a motivator. When you see other people who are working on themselves, they putting the work in, it motivates you like, okay. So that's why one of those things that I've grown into not hearing, I don't like when people say, that's just who I am. And that's something that people say on a regular. And I got to a point where I was like, let's not say that, because then you're sticking yourself in a space and it sounds like that you're not willing to go any further. And last time I checked, we all can keep going. So when people say that, it bothers me, because it's like, okay, I think you're limiting yourself. There's so much more you could be doing for yourself, you know, so that you can give to others. So don't cut yourself off by saying, well, this is just who I am. That's how I do it. Okay, well, you can't change. You can't do something a little different. You can't grow. We all have to be open to that. So thank you for sharing that. And yes, we are going to come back and talk about this self-care song that Michelle dropped. We're going to drop it right here. But Delana, I wanted to circle around to you, because it and I know we've had conversations before, and it really is more, it's not just about the physical, but I think that people go there and not realize that what Tuan said about getting the mind straight and then digging in, as Michelle said, to that inner person is what motivates you. Because I need help in that area. I'm just putting both hands up. But I need motivation in that area to kind of do those stairs.
I'm gonna give it to you. Okay. It's 3 things. It's 3. We overthink it. We do mental gymnastics. That's true. So like, we'll do mental gymnastics before we even move our body or anything. And so I want you guys to just forget about it. Forget about thinking that you need to go to the gym to get a physical release. I want you to do 3 things: relax, relate, and release. Your body at an inner cellular level needs to be loved on. And in order for us to do that, we have to relax. We're usually operating up here, and our bodies cannot function in a state of chaos. So in order for us to even reap the benefits of moving, we got to bring it down. We got to bring it down. And Michelle spoke about this. Get into some meditation. On the days that I don't go to the gym, I just put on like a 5 to 10 minute meditation music and just relax. just doing that, getting in touch and getting in tune, I'm relating, relaxing, releasing on a cellular level, and you burn calories that way. Ladies, you don't, it doesn't always have to be that I'm running a marathon on the treadmill or on the elliptical or the Stairmaster or, you know, any of those things. Yes, those things are great. I'm not telling you not to do that. But what I'm saying is, before we even do that, let's get in tune with ourselves and with our bodies on a cellular level. That's where a lot of inflammation resides. That's where a lot of sickness and illness resides. So for us, do that 3 R's: relax, relate, and release, before we even think about what we're attempting to do to be able to receive that better. I'm gonna give you a scenario, Lisa.
Okay.
Imagine going to the gym when you're stressed out, you don't really want to be there. You stay home. You might as well stay. You're not going to reap the full benefits. It will seem like a chore.
That's true.
You should be happy about going, right? You should know that I'm going in here. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to benefit my body. I'm in a good place. I'm in a good space. But going to that gym, stressed out and agitated and aggravated and don't want to be there, you might as well just, you know, stay home. So just think about it in terms like that. And then you will see the gym, yoga, meditation, you'll see all of that totally different. And it will be more like self-love to you than it is more like it's a chore or why am I doing this? Well, I know I need to do that. It will show up for you differently when you do those types of things, which is why I'm at a place, and you know, you've heard me share over the years. For me, it's just part of who I am. It's part of my lifestyle because I approach it that way. That, you know, it's not more or less of a chore. So,
well, and I wanted to add to that. So to make that a full circle, given what you said and everyone else, is to I found it easier for me when I celebrate the small things, because a lot of times we set these huge goals and things, and then when we don't meet them, we get depressed, and then we don't want to do anything. But sometimes if you walk up and down the stairs 2 times instead of the 20 that they say, it's still an accomplishment. Celebrate it. Right. And on top of that, not only celebrating what you did do, but forgiving yourself for the goal you didn't meet. It's okay. Start all over tomorrow. Because I know that's what beats me up sometimes, because I feel like, you know, I'm one of those checklist kind of people. So if I've written it down, and let me tell you how bad I am with it. So I can maybe do something additional to what's on my list. And I will actually put it on my list so I can check it off. Don't judge me.
Check it off, right? Again,
but
it matters.
I told you don't judge me, Jawan, don't laugh. I do that, and I know that I'm a work in progress, but it's because I feel like, okay, I accomplished this, but I didn't record it. So I'm putting it on the list to let myself know. But at the same time, I'm like, why am I doing that? Like, it's done. It's over with. Let it go. Make room for something else. So I play those kind of mind games or gymnastics that you mentioned with myself. Yes, absolutely.
But Lisa, it's not a mind game, actually. When you do that, what you're doing is building your self-confidence muscle. Because when you start putting down the things that you have accomplished and you go back and look at it, it reminds you of what you can accomplish and push you to do even further things. And that still ties into your self-love as well. But it's not. It sounds crazy the way you say it when you go back and do it, but it really isn't, because we always have to flex our self-confident muscle. So that's all you're doing is building that self-confidence muscle. And the more confident you are, the more you love you.
Absolutely. See,
so it all ties together. You just didn't know where the dots connect.
I didn't know what it was I was doing. I know it didn't sound when out loud. It sounds really different.
You good. You good.
And I would laugh at myself like, I can't believe I'm putting this on here, and got to put my check mark now, because I'm like, oh, I did that.
Yeah, exactly.
I done added three things to the list that were already done before I put them on the list. But now that you put it that way, that makes me feel so much better. I did want to shout out everybody who's tuned in. Thank you, Dion, Cheryl, Devetta is on here, and Donna. Donna actually said, back to what we were talking about, that there's a sense of freedom and growth. Absolutely. And that the Bible says to love your neighbor as yourself. which connects, you know, what we said we're going to be talking about in some of the next episodes, because all of it still ties together. I mean, you're loving everybody in a different way, all day long, every day. So that's why I thought, let's break it down, because some people get it confused. I mean, even with self-love, they get it confused with romantic love, and they get it confused with the agape love, and there's all kinds of ways you can love on people. I'm just trying to encourage people to, in some way, you know, show love, as opposed to a lot of things that I'm seeing out here where it's just it's not love. So this makes me feel really good. So what I want to do right now is I want to take a break and share with you, Shariba. I'm going to share, there's an anthology that's coming up the pike for Touched by the Publishing. And I'm also excited that I'm going to be a co-author on this book, but I wanted to actually show a little preview for you. If you're interested, you know, it's going to give you the information, but let's take a little break and talk about it.
Author Call for Imperfectly Fierce and Focused, embracing your imperfections while still crushing your goals. If you've ever overcome procrastination, been a survivor of a traumatic experience, overcome fear and imposter syndrome, or even lived with a disease, illness, or disability, then you should consider being a co-author for Imperfectly Fierce and Focused. Someone needs to hear your story. Imperfectly Fierce and Focused is not about being perfect. In fact, it's the complete opposite. This anthology is to empower, uplift, and motivate readers to recognize their ability and strength to get beyond the spirit of perfection, fear, and procrastination. It's time to tell your story. So come join our team, meet our visionary and current authors. Kiva Lernice Murdaugh, visionary author. Atricia Doyle, executive assistant and project manager. Dr. Tina D. Lewis, forward author. Lisa Dove Washington, co-author. Jacqueline Kabai Harrison, co-author. Fachina Kirkendall, co-author. Register today to become a co-author in Imperfectly Fierce and Focused. Visit our website at www.tinyurl.com/IFF-inquiry. Again, it's www.tinyurl.com/IFF-inquiry.
So you all, if you're interested, please reach out to Kiva and get that information. It's going to be an amazing project. And two, I felt like it's a self, you know, and everything now to me, or everything that attracts me, it has to do with self-love, because I just feel like I'm just a better person. I'm happier inside when I'm pouring back into me. Because every day, all day long, you're pouring out, whether you're going to work, you talking on the phone, whatever you're doing all day long, your cup is going down. Everything's going down. So you have to find a way to get that cup back up, because you got to do this again tomorrow. Yeah. And you want to find ways to do it that are not going to be so temporary. So everything that you all have talked about is something that permanently changes you. Like, you know, Delana, you mentioned that it's just a part of your routine of the day. And even earlier, Tawan was mentioning that she has a routine that she does every day to pour back into herself. And your body knows when you haven't done the work you were supposed to do to it. But that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, that's what life is all about. It's unfortunate that we don't tend to figure this stuff out until we are, you know, 40, 50 years old. And we're like, oh, this would have been so useful when we were 20, but you just don't get it till you get it. But I wanted to ask Michelle a question about this song that you did, which was perfect timing for tonight's show. What made you decide that you wanted to do a song about self-care?
So again, in the midnight hour, sometimes those are my meditation thing. And it's just like everybody's in a high rate of just doing everything. And they don't really take out the time to say self-care, I care. So if I don't care, if I'm not caring, then there's no self-care. So the song itself, the words, when he gave me those words to write, self-care, I care, take away all the pain, troubles and the pain, society's crapped in my brain. Because again, we constantly on the go. That's just how right now we're on the go all the time. But even if I don't care, who else is gonna care? Right. So I care, and I have to tell my sister, I care about you. And this is just relevant to yourself.
So why don't we check out this video and check out Michelle's song that's about self-care, I care. I thought it was perfect timing. Thank you, Michelle, for even sharing this. I was like, oh, we have to show this. So, I mean, shout out to you for because I think sometimes even in song, you have to tell yourself that. So you can, you can talk about it here and there. But if you got a song that you can listen to for a whole few minutes, then you're embedding that in your head and, put it on rewind, right?
Right.
So why don't we help them out with getting this in their subconscious and go ahead and show Michelle's video about self-care.
Take away all the trouble and the pain. Society tried to sacrifice small things. My brain and mind strictly insane. Now is not the time to stress. I found the solution, the self-care test. Who cares where you go? I care about you. Who cares what you do? I care about you. I care, self-care, I care. I care, self-care, I care. I can't take care of myself alone. There's so much of me to love. Leave me with the I care, self-care love. Leave me with the self-care, I care love. I care, self-care, I care. I care, self-care, I care. The earth is bound with the self and love, and will you prove how much you care? Living the game of life unaware. Why do we care enough to try? Nobody seemed to care. I cried when left. I found the solution, the self-care test. Who cares where you go? I care about you. Who cares what you do? I care about you. And I care, self-care. I care, self-care, I care. I can't take care of myself alone. There's so much of me to love. Leave me with the I care, self-care love. Leave me with the self-care, I care love. I care, self-care, I care. 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 I care.
very nice, Michelle. I love it.
Oh my God, that was so relaxing.
It was.
Yeah, and just listening to the words, like Lisa said, it kind of just drops in your subconscious and in your spirit. Like even if you weren't thinking about like relaxing, relating, and releasing, that song will make you do it.
Right.
Yes.
So yeah, everybody go load it up, listen to it. I just, listen to it. Everything is on the streaming devices. It's uploaded to the Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul. Yeah, it is also some meditation stuff that I did on the album too, with using the sound bowls with affirmations as well. So it's there for us. It's there for us, and it's just for us to get into it.
Absolutely. But we're going to let you know where to find that with Michelle again at the end of the show, so you can go get it, download it. It's just so important to do things like this because it changes it shifts all your energy. So if you're have a lot of anxiety, you had a stressful day, I do agree, Delaney, it kind of it brought you, as you were talking about, it brought you down. And then she didn't, if you think about it, she didn't say a lot of words. No. So it gave you a moment to listen to everything she was saying. And it was slow paced. So it wasn't like fast and, you get that noise in your head and it says boop, boop, boop. And then you got a headache. But with this, it was more soothing and relaxing, as Delaney said, relax, relate, release. I got that from I remember that from a different world when she relax, relate, release, and I was like, that's what it makes me think of all the time, because once you do that, your energy changes.
Yes, it shifts. Yes,
it really does. Yeah, it really does. It's mind, body, and spirit, as Tuan said. So I wanted to thank you again, Michelle. That was when she mentioned it, I was like, that's perfect. So congratulations again to you. We will make sure everybody knows where to get it and download it. And welcome Darlene to the show. Very soothing. It actually was. It was very soothing.
Thank you guys.
You might have to play it again on the way out the door, but yeah, thank you for that. So I wanted each of you, and we can just go around, and Delaney, we'll start with you. I know that you actually, and you've helped me. Even with, the things that I need to do to get myself together to start. I mean, I remember one thing you told me, Delaney, when I was saying, okay, I've set a goal for myself of what I want to do, weight wise, but you said, okay, but take a minute to get ready to do it. Right. Instead of just jumping into it. So why do you feel like self-love? Because I think some people define it differently. And that's where it gets confusing, because they're mixing up things. But tell me why self-love you feel is so important, and how do you define it? Because everybody has a different definition of what self-love is for themselves.
Absolutely. And like you said, it does. It's one of those fleeting definitions when you think of just like wellness and health. It's like one of those things that sometimes, depending on the person. So you said it just right. You have to embody that for yourself, because it's going to look different for all four of us that's on this screen, what self-love really embodies. And what I don't want us to do is compare what self-love looks like for me versus Tuan versus Michelle versus you. So when I think of self-love, it goes back to that whole thing of, on a cellular level, what will you do for yourself that you would not abandon for someone else? That's self-love. What will you do that the mental gymnastics and no excuse or no barrier would allow you to deviate or find an excuse to get away from? That to me is self-love. We can list out the things that you can do spiritually or physically or emotionally to get there. But first you have to start with, how do you define self-love? And then are you willing to do what it takes to actually embody that, right? So that goes back to that whole really understanding. And I'm talking about really on a cellular level. Like you really have to kind of go deep and really lean into what that looks like. And again, don't go to Dr. Google looking for it. Don't go to Wikipedia looking for it. Don't, really figure that out for yourself, because it's going to be different. And it's going to shock you, because what we've been told self-love might not be what you find it to be for you. So you really have to sit still with it and figure out what that self-love looks like for you, because it is going to be different for each individual. So I guess my challenge to you, from my perspective, and probably each of us here that's on the show tonight will challenge you to say, find out what self-love looks like for you before you even begin to envelope it or embody it. You've got to be able to identify what it truly looks like for you.
I love that. So Michelle, same thing to you, because as she says, it is different for everybody. And when we start to do that comparing, that's where we get lost, because we're going to feel like a failure automatically because that wasn't us. So Michelle, what is that for you?
So for me, like Delana said, it's very different for me because I look at it as steps of gratitude.
Yeah.
I look at that for me, the love, because what is your definition of love? You know, I also look at it in the spiritual realm too, because God is love. So if he's within me, I'm loving on him within me. And I'm not being jealous about it. You know, I'm loving him within me. And what I want in the self, I want this self to represent his love on the outward, not just in the inward, but on the outward as well.
Right.
Oh, I love that. You took it. Look, you gave people something to think about, because it's like, you got to go deep for that, because I mean, the reality is that we do stay surface. We don't really dig that deep into it. And that's why for a lot of people, self-love is getting your nails done. And because that's the outer, and you can fix all of that and you can just look bomb. And then inside,
empty,
a hot mess, because you don't want to and a lot of people avoid, that. And it's the funny thing is, taking it back to when COVID hit, I think that's when, and we joked about it a little bit when I said, look, when COVID hit, you were stuck in the house with you. And if you ain't never really met you or know you,
come on,
or you met some people out in the street that remind you of you, and now you got to be with you all day, people were losing their minds behind that, because now you got to deal with your stuff, and there's nobody there that you can blame or point the finger at, because they can't come over. So if something is going on, or it's kind of like, keep it on simple terms, if the light gets broken and you're the only one in the house, you can't blame your brother, your mother, your husband. You did that. So now you got to figure out, okay, what's going on with Lisa, and let me get myself together. And I had one of those aha moments, because I was like, okay, get it together, because I didn't understand what was going on in the world. And I was like, oh my God, but I lost myself. And I literally had to sit myself down and say, you got to get it together. This is not this is not how you're supposed to handle this. I think Delana got a couple of phone calls, because I'm like,
you did.
Oh my gosh.
But I commended you, didn't I? Every time I commended you for making the call. See, remember, a lot of people don't do that, especially when you're not clear. So I commended you for getting clarity. Even if your clarity consisted of you calling to kind of affirm what you already knew.
That's true.
So I commended you for doing that. And so that's, again, us being able to be in touch with what it is that we need, right? And a part of that is self-love and self-care.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tawan, same thing to you, because I know I've had several moments, even in the last year, where I had to check my space, check what I'm doing, check my yeses and my nos, and get it together, because I was losing that sense of peace. And not that people were trying to take me out of it, but I wasn't tuned into Lisa to know when to say when. But talk a little bit about that too, Tawan.
Okay, so first I'm going to say what self-love means to me. And it's really my commitment to evolve to walk in my own power. And that's my own power to love me, to be loved, and to love every aspect of me. I am by far not perfect at all. And I have some scars, and I have some wounds, and I have some imperfections. And a lot of times people let that hinder them. But I love every aspect of it. I'm twice divorced. I love that. I don't love being divorced, but I can own it, and I'm okay with that. And that helps me move forward. And because I can own it, I can be open to love some more. But it's also about being committed to my happiness, my total well-being. And that's why I said my commitment to evolve, to walk in my power of my potential, and who I can be and how I can show up. Because for me, loving me is not just about the pampering and the looking good and the feeling good, but it's also about the force that pushes me to be my best.
That's right.
And how I show up. So love is not just about that feel good. Matter of fact, love is not even a feeling, just in case anybody didn't know. It's a fact. Because some people don't even do that. So that's why you got to understand what self-love is. So for me, so Lisa, to go back to what you said, a lot of times self-love requires self-reflection, self-awareness. And a lot of people never want to sit down with themselves because they don't want to look at themselves, because then they got to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then they have a choice: own your truth or deny your truth.
That's right.
That's
and
right.
so many people like denying the truth, that they can't show up as who they need to show up because they won't own it. And then when they get some of the consequences to their actions for not owning it, they wonder why. Well, if you won't love you in all aspects of you, how do you expect anybody else to love you? So you can't hold me in bondage about nothing.
That's right. That's right.
I'm good with me. I love me and I'm good with me. So Lisa, I think, like you said, you just did some self-check-ins and you was like, I don't like that. And then you decided to take action. And that's the most important part. You do have to take action. You're never going to get to that next step. You can't evolve. We are forever changing. We're not the same people we were 30 days ago, or shouldn't be, or who we were of last year. So as we evolve, our love for ourselves have to evolve, because if we go to greater lengths, we got to have a much stronger love for ourselves to battle what life is going to bring when we go that far, when we go to our next level. So absolutely
change is necessary. I mean,
change is very necessary.
If you're not changing, there's a problem.
You're dead. You should be dead.
Yeah.
You're walking dead, or you're dead.
Absolutely.
One or two.
Absolutely. You gotta go in some direction. Even if we don't always go in the right direction, but you went in a different direction. I mean, it's still movement. You gotta move, you gotta change, because you can't do everything right, because then there's nothing to grow from. So when I hear people kind of talk in a sense of, oh yeah, I got that down pat, I know it, never. That's where when we talk about the power shut up, that was self. So anything, even when I'm writing, those things are about me looking in the mirror. So I'm not telling you to do something. I told me first. And like Tawan, you mentioned, if I'm telling me first and I'm checking me first, I think the most powerful thing that anybody can do is be able to check themselves. And self-love is self-awareness. If you don't know who you are, which I think you mentioned that, or somebody did that, I think most people don't know who they are. So that's why they get offended. That's why they kind of hold on so tight, because now you're challenging them. And if you think about it, and I had to be honest with myself, there are times when, I think I was watching a TikTok or something they're talking about, and I was like, well, they got a real good point there, because if somebody says something and it triggers you, which, everybody has triggers, but when it triggers you, a lot of times it's because there's something in what was said that you are resonating with. Now, whether you've come to grips with it or not, that's a whole nother question. And I think that's where the defensiveness comes, because I've been in spaces where somebody said something and they weren't even talking to me, but I was feeling some kind of way, because I was like, because in reality, I was like, okay, you do that. And they don't know they talking to you, so you don't want nobody to know. Really, you talking, you stepping on my toes. But I had to get to a place where I was okay, and even knowing that my toes were being stepped on. And my next thought process was, what am I going to do? Because that's my self-love. When I can go in and say, okay, I'm just acknowledging I got an issue with that. So Lisa, what are you going to do? Because that's me loving on me. Because when I'm fixing me, and here's the other thing I learned from even going through the power shut up kind of thing, is that I was in the way from God doing what he's supposed to be doing elsewhere. Who do I think I am, that I'm going to be checking you, or telling you what you need to do? I need to work on me and let him do his work. And a lot of times we in our own way, and we in his way. And that's because we not doing self-love. We busy pushing it out here and telling everybody else what they supposed to be doing. And how are you going to treat people, or how are people going to treat you the way you want to be treated when you don't even know who you are, what makes you feel good, what gives you peace? If you can't answer those questions, how's somebody going to give it to you?
That's right. Because you ain't relaxed, release.
They're gonna give it to you based on, they give it to you based on what you see other people get, and you think that will work for you. But because you don't know you, when you get it and it don't work, then you think something wrong where it didn't work because it worked for Delana. It might not work for Tawan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You really got to know. You really got to tap into who you are.
Absolutely.
Period. For anything, not even just self-love and self-care, just for your total well-being and you showing up your authentic and true self, if that's what you desire. Because maybe sometimes, we say this what you should do, maybe people don't want to.
That part.
Sometimes people like the representative more than they like the self.
That's
so
true.
They like to let the representative show up, but at some point in time, the representative gonna get you in trouble.
So I'm glad you said, and I wish Victoria was on tonight. I do want to shout out. Thank you for joining Lynette and Donna and Sharon. Thank y'all so much. That brought me to a place, and Victoria Holland had a master class. You all have to check her out. She has coaching classes, but I so resonated with her class that was called Beauty and the Beast. And the reason, and everybody can pull from it what they want, but for me, right, it was exactly what we're talking about right now, because I was, when Victoria and I was talking about, I think, Michelle, you've been on some of those conversations. I said, you know what? I think people are showing up thinking, they picking a side. I'm the beauty, you the beast, whatever. They defining their role. Mm-hmm. And I think that self-awareness, sometimes you showing up straight beast and don't know that's how you showing up, because you done already labeled yourself like, it's the beauty, but do you really know how you're showing up in the world? Do you really know how you're showing up when you having conversations with people? And I've had those talks with people where I would say something and like, well, why are they so offended because I said it? Then the person next to me said the same thing. But that's when you have to say, okay, but what's going on with your delivery? What's really coming out when you say it? Because a lot of times, if you haven't healed yourself, or it's something going on, and everybody has moments when it's something else going on, that comes out, and it's not for them, but you're giving it to them. Right. And people can feel that, and a lot of times I'll even know when somebody has something else going on. But the most frustrating part is when they're saying, "No, I'm good," and I'm watching you, and I'm hearing you, bite, but you saying I'm good. So I was like, okay, but I had to learn too that we can't fix everybody. We have to decide how we're going to respond and give people the space to exert, to do that self-love. Because a lot of times people don't know that they need it. They think they got it, they doing it. And I'm like, I had to learn for myself the way I thought that there were times when I was good. Just somebody, think about this. I used to get offended when people would say, don't let nobody steal your joy. That's what everybody say all the time. Don't let nobody steal your joy. And my first response to that was always, I'm not letting them steal my joy. Already wrong, but I'm already telling them, I'm not letting them steal my joy. And then I thought about it one day and said, that's the only way that it can happen, is if I'm letting them do it. And I think we don't realize that if you are rocked to a place where you come out of that space, you let somebody take you there, because they don't have any control over what you decide to do based on whatever information it is or whatever. But I was always fighting about, I said, look at me fighting about, I ain't letting nobody steal I'm already in fight mode with my hands like this. And I'm like, why am I doing that? I am allowing them, because now I'm not where I was. Yeah. And why should they have more power over me than I have over myself?
But you know what, Lisa, you say something that's good, and a lot, us as African-American women, and I can't speak from another culture because I can only talk about the shoes I walk in. We've been taught to say, I'm okay.
Right.
I'm okay. I'm okay. We say it to our detriment.
Yes.
that we say yes to everything. Yes, yes, yes. We forget that no is a complete sentence, or we even forget that no is a word and it's a part of our vocabulary, and that we can use it for our own benefit as part of our boundaries. But because we have been taught to say, I'm okay, it is okay to not be okay.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. And when you're not okay, give yourself grace. Give yourself time to get through whatever it is you're going through. Stop. Delaney say, relax, relate, and release. And after you relax, relate, and release, figure out why you're not okay.
Right.
So you can come up with a solution to become okay. It might be you need to just go and take some time to yourself. You might need to have a little talk with Jesus.
Right.
Or you might need to sit on the couch.
Right.
That part.
And talk to the therapist. I don't know what it is, but you need to figure it out, because it's going to be times. I said earlier, life will life you.
Yes.
There will be times when you are not okay, because there will be things that will happen to you that you can't be okay with.
That's right.
So how can you always be okay? Just be true and honest to yourself. To thy own self be true.
That's right.
If you can't be true to yourself, who else can you be true to? So I think you just said something powerful about we always saying, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Knowing that there's something, but we convince ourselves, and that's why it's important when we talk about what we're telling ourselves. That Delaney and Michelle touched on it too. That what you tell yourself, and I catch myself now, even in regular conversation, people will say things that you don't think about. Say somebody's talking about, I never win anything, or I never done. I'm like, don't say that. No, and they think it's something small, because people don't realize that, every time you're speaking, you talking to yourself. You're the first person that hears what's coming out of your mouth, because it was in here before you even spoke it. So be careful what you say to yourself. Shout out to Gilia. Thank you for joining this conversation. We could have this conversation all night long, but I tell you what we are going to do, because this is Love Month, but it's also Black History Month. So we're going to have a Luncheon with Lisa Black History moment, because I do think it's important. And I actually pull people that I feel like, I think a lot of times people don't even understand why we celebrate the things that we celebrate. So I always like to put some education behind this. So check out this Black History moment that maybe will give you a little background on why we even celebrate Black History Month. The celebration of Black History Month began as Negro History Week, which was created in 1926 by Carter G. Woodson, a noted African-American historian, scholar, author, educator, journalist, and publisher, who was one of the founders of the Association for the Study of African-American Life and History. A founder of the Journal of Negro History in 1916, Woodson had been called the father of Black history. In February 1926, he launched the celebration of Negro History Week, the precursor of Black History Month. In the early 20th century, while he earned a master's degree from the University of Chicago and a PhD from Harvard, both in history, Woodson witnessed how Black people were unrepresented in the books and conversations that shaped the study of African American history. In 1915, he and Jesse E. Moreland founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, which is now the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, or the ASAL. The organization will promote studying Black history as a discipline and celebrate the accomplishments of African Americans. And I quote, "If a race has no history, it has no worthwhile tradition. It becomes a negligible factor in the thought of the world, and it stands in danger of being exterminated." Woodson said this in the issues of a need of such a study. In 1926, Woodson and the ASALH launched a Negro History Week to bring attention to his mission and help school systems coordinate their focus on the topic. For those who ask why February, Well, Woodson chose the second week in February as it encompassed both Frederick Douglass' birthday on February 14th and Abraham Lincoln's birthday on February 12th. Now, during the Civil Rights Movement, freedom schools in the South embraced the week and its curriculum message as a way to contribute to the mission. By the mid-1960s, the most popular textbooks for 8th grade U.S. history classes mentioned only 2 Black people in the entire century of history and had transpired since the Civil War. And that problem could no longer be ignored. It was in that decade that colleges and universities across the country transformed the week into a Black History Month on campus. A number of mayors had already adopted the celebration as a municipal event by the time President Gerald Ford decreed Black History Month a national observance in 1976 on both the 50th anniversary of the first iteration and America's bicentennial year. And that's another Black History moment on Luncheon with Lisa. So that's a Black History moment that kind of gives the full background of why we're even doing what we're doing. And I share that because I know sometimes a lot of young people don't realize, if you think about it, young people are entering this world where things are already what they are. And I can minimize it to like the telephone. They've never seen a payphone. So, and we don't talk about it anymore, but I do think it's important. And I think Sharon's on, and to her point, because her and history are like hand in hand, but it's important for us to remind them of the things before them, because then you can grow from knowing. I mean, how do you know the growth of the world, of people, if you don't know where we came from? Right. Teach them that, how they used to dial the phone and stuff like that, because I'm amazed at some of the things. But I think about when my grandson grows up and things will be very foreign to him. He'll have to read in a book about us being on StreamYard and talking, because they won't be doing this stuff. They'll be doing something way bigger. But that was the Black History Month from Luncheon with Lisa. Thank you all so much for joining me on this. So what I want to do, because I could really talk to y'all forever about this stuff, but I did, before we let everybody know where they can contact you, I actually wanted to share a TikTok moment that will wrap all of this up into one huge gift to everybody who's been tuning in tonight. So let's do a TikTok moment, and then we'll come back and find out how you all can continue to connect with the guests here tonight. So check it out.
That's so cute.
So, Grandma, what is the secret to living a long, healthy life?
Love. I'm really loving myself. And I think most people have a problem because they don't think of themselves. They think of everything out there. Yeah. But you have got to think about yourself first. You help yourself first. And because the reason for that is because you really like yourself. Right. You're feeling good about yourself, and that's the only way you can extend it. It has to come from you. Right. And when you see people having a problem, it's because of that reason. They're not thinking about themselves. Right. Everything is out there instead of in here. The mind is very, very powerful. Whatever thoughts you think, good or bad, it's coming from your mind. And so it materialize, positive thinking, it's very important. Can't dwell on that, the problem. It's not good. But most people have to be taught how to do that. I was taught. I went to different seminars and therapists, and I got lots of help. That's all I can say. But we do need that, you know, because it's hard to really do it on your own. But I'm so grateful that they had people that could give me that information.
Yeah.
And it has helped me a lot. Right. So I've really had, because of my way of thinking, I've had an excellent life, you know, fun and, you know, great friendships. Yeah, I've attracted the nicest people in my life. And because of that, you know, I've enjoyed life so much. And I pass it on to others.
I love it.
I love it. Perfect. It just kind of ties everything up in a bow. And I felt like, you know, we were sitting around a dining room table and she was 102 years old. And that's wisdom. And it was exactly what we're talking about tonight, which is why I thought that was perfect. So I know we have gotten to time. So we're actually going to, before we leave off of here, have Delana, Tawan, and Michelle tell you where you can find them so you can connect with them. And this is not just their area of self-love. That's not just their area. There are many things that these ladies do that can pour into you, fill that cup back up. So let's start with you, Tawan. Where can they find you and connect with you?
You can find me anywhere on social media as TL_. You can find me on Facebook as Tawan Lowe. If you go to Instagram, I'm under TL Consultancy, and you can find me there. And I just want to remind people, make sure that you have some type of routine that allows you to fill your cup, because if you can't fill your cup and if you empty, you can't give anything to anybody else. Absolutely. Especially yourself.
Yep. Yeah. Michelle.
So for me, the social media, Facebook is the Michelle Bolden Hammond. And you can also find me on Instagram as Upfront Mind Body. And for the music, you just have to punch in Michelle B. Hammond. I will say, before you go to bed tonight, you need to look up meditation affirmation. That will set you in your zone and give you a peaceful sleep. I guarantee you that.
I agree, Michelle.
Yep. I third it. I second it. I third it.
And you know what too? And the self-care stuff, because like for me, one of the regimens I do, just like we have quarterly season, I do a quarterly check on something to do with my self-care. I try something new, try something different. And like the mother said, go to seminars. Hey, I have a retreat coming up in March. Warm your heart, warm your mind, warm your soul on a beautiful waterfront property, bed and breakfast. Hey, that's one way to get away. And guess what? There's internet, but no TVs.
How about that? To get you focused. That's right.
Focus.
Delana.
Really focused. Yes. So I'm on all social media platforms, including TikTok. I'm just getting on there, but I'm on there at Delana Watkins. And then DelanaWatkins.com is my website. So across all social media. And just remember, relax, relate, and release.
Relax, relate, release. I have to do that every time. That's what relax, relate, release. But thank you, ladies, so much for joining me. This is the first show of 2023. We're just getting started, but I think this was the best way to kick off the Love Month and turning it to self first. She said it best at 102 years old. That means we're on the right track, y'all. She lived to 102, so we should be listening. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. Everyone who tuned in, please continue to share the show, connect with these ladies, and we will see you next Thursday to talk about romantic love and share maybe some tips on what we can do for Valentine's Day and every day. Valentine's Day is every day, not just one day, but let's do extra on Valentine's Day. How about that? So we will see you next Thursday. And thanks again, ladies. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.